We're so glad that you're here.
Thank you for being here, and we're excited to state that we have crossed the 1,000 subscriber threshold. Our baby little channel is growing incrementally. We're so grateful for your involvement, your likes, your clicks, your subscriptions, all that stuff. And we're very excited to deliver this video today, where our Guru Dev, Swami Mukundananda, will be telling stories, two stories in particular. One about his great guru, the fifth original Jagadguru of Indian history, Shri KRIPALUJI MAHARAJ. And then Swamiji is also going to tell a story about Sant Tukaram. Now, today in the U.S., the day of recording is a very major day. What day is it?
It is. It's November 15th today, which is the Mahasamadhi of Jagadguru Shri KRIPALUJI Maharaj. So we are deeply honored to be putting forth this offering on this holy sacred day.
We hope you enjoy the video.
Kripaluji Maharaj, I heard a story from him. This was when he was in his 20s. At 34 he became Jagadguru. This was before that. So he used to do satsang in people's houses in UP. So big government officers were his devotees. Now the evening satsang was in the house of the judge of the Allahabad High Court. And the judge's younger brother was the district collector. Collector is the government administrator of the district. So the elder brother was such a deep believer and the younger brother was atheistic. So he would keep getting annoyed with his elder brother. Why do you waste time running after these babas? What do you get? But when the evening satsang is in the brother's house, social etiquette demands that he has to be present. So he did go. Now Maharaji was sitting in the drawing room and speaking to a group of devotees. The collector was furious at this waste of time. So he was pacing up and down in the corridor. But Maharaji was speaking in a booming voice. The sound was coming into the collector's ears and he was listening. What is he saying? So what he heard attracted him, that he seems to be speaking sense. He started standing on the doorway and hearing. And as he kept hearing, it started clicking from inside. That it's not as I thought, he's become a Babaji just to eat 2 rotis. He seems to be explaining some very useful things with good logic and sense. Now Maharaji continued to speak for 2 hours and the collector continued to listen.
And I'll just note and say that one of my many favorite things about Swamiji and Maharaji is that exactly that. Everything is expressed with such impeccable logic. And so often spirituality, religion is divorced from logic, and their ability to articulate all of these deep spiritual truths and teachings in a way that passed the test of the most rigorous logic cracked my brain open and, of course, exploded my soul as well. And I just love when he makes that reference. The beautiful unification by Maharaji and now his great devotee Swamiji, the marriage of logic and faith. It's the best.
Amen. How beautifully put.
At the end of the satsang, everybody, as was the tradition, came to offer their respects. The collector also fell in line. Now when his turn came, Maharaj had been warned by his elder brother, Maharaj, my younger brother, he's such a nuisance, he's so atheistic. So when the collector's turn came to offer respect, Maharaj fell down at his feet. He was totally taken aback. Are Maharaj, what are you doing? Please don't embarrass me. You are such a great yogi and I am a bhogi. I should offer my respects to you. Maharaj said, no, you've got it wrong. I am the bhogi and you are the yogi. Oh, no, Maharaj, everybody knows about you. Maharaj said, look, what have I renounced? I have renounced worldly pleasures, the pleasures of the senses. They don't have any satiation at all. They cannot satisfy the soul. If I renounce them, knowing them to be useless, what is the big deal? You are the real renunciant. You have renounced God and you are running after these worldly things. Your renunciation is so amazing. That's why I'm offering my respects to you.
Oh my goodness. This is one of the most heart-shaking, soul-stirring, incredible anecdotes that I have ever heard. It gives me tingles, even though I'm wearing a sweater. It's so cold here. I'll just add something at this point. For those of you who have seen our other videos, you know that several weeks ago, Jared and I went on a journey to let go of some of the ragistic and tamasic foods in our life and to try and eat in a fully sattvic way. And we've both, we're now both doing that, and we've both been on this journey for several weeks since October 3rd is really the date. So when Swamiji says that Maharaj said, giving up the pleasures of the senses is no big deal, it just really lands for me that for those of us who are still really conditioned in kind of the Mayak world and the attachment to all these delights of the senses, that it does feel like a big deal actually to give them up and to, be more live in this sattvic, more stoic way. But then that's just at one level. The level that he's speaking at is this abundant, expansive, capital T truth that the glory, which cannot be put into any language or words, of the majesty of God and of Guru's grace is so all-consuming, is so beautiful, is so out of this world, that cosmic, conscious intensity that we can't even fathom, that renouncing the world to appreciate even one drop of that is actually the easy thing when you really know the truth. And it's so hard to give that up, to just play in the sandbox of life with the delights of the eyes and the ears and the nose and the mouth, etc. So I just really feel so profoundly impacted by this story, which I had heard, I think, once before, but just hearing it a million times wouldn't even do justice to the profundity of it.
Jai Ma. Jai Guru Dev.
Maharaj says that collector fell at his feet and started weeping like a child. He just understood that yes, we all want happiness. And the happiness I want is in God, it is not in these things. The moment that understanding came, a few repetitions created attachment to God. And Maharaj says that later on, he went in satsang with even greater speed towards God than his brother. So it's all about where you have decided there is happiness.
Wow. It's truly one of the greatest paradigm shifts that I've ever heard in my life. That Maharaji shows us that the true renunciate is not him and the ascended saints. The true renunciates and all the rest of us who have renounced God. That the foolishness of that the lack of happiness, the suffering that leads to is, that's the renunciation, that's the austerity, that he's simply embracing the divine truth and God. He's renouncing these simple material worldly pleasures, which to us, feel like everything. But his ability to shift the entire paradigm on this key issue of what is renunciation. First time I heard that from him, it just blew my mind wide open. And every time, as you said, it does the same thing. It's just the spiritual brilliance. That's what enlightenment sounds like. Okay, now Swamiji is going to tell another amazing story, this time about Sant Tukaram.
The saints, whenever they have a difficult situation, they see in it the grace of God. Take the example of Sant Tukaram. He was a great saint of Maharashtra. His wife had a terrible nature. She used to keep fighting with him. So Mahabharata would continue at home all the time. One day there was nothing at home. And Sant Tukaram was doing his bhajan, Rukmini Vitthal, Rukmini Vitthal, Rukmini Vitthal. The wife burst forth on him, "What are you doing? Go and sit in your shop, earn something, there is nothing to cook out here." So Sant Tukaram obeyed the high command and he went to the shop. Now he earned his daily income, purchased some groceries. When he was coming back, he found some beggars, he kept giving to them in charity. And when he reached home, he only had one ganna, one sugar cane. He told his wife, "This is all I have got today." She got so mad at him, she lifted it and hit it on his head. It broke into two. You see, she must have really hit it hard for it to break into two. So Sant Tukaram was not ruffled by it. He said, "Oh, it's split. Never mind, you take one, I will take one." We had to break it. And then he went into his puja room and he said, "Oh, Rukmini Vitthal, you are so kind, so merciful. You have given me such a wife that I can never become attached to this world." You see, this is the positive nature. The positive nature is that I should not let the disturbance come into my mind. The external disturbances, see in them a blessing. Everything is happening for the good. So he is seeing in that situation the blessing of God.
I never want Swamiji's satsangs to stop. Oh, you heard the laughter on the screen from the participants, and that booming laughter is just that resounding affirmation of the truth that we can all choose how we respond in any given situation. But it's easy to see it in the story of Sant Tukaram, but it's hard, so much harder to see it when we're hit. I mean, if someone hit me over the head with a sugar cane, I don't think I could remain undisturbed. I don't know how much sadhana and meditation and renunciation that would take, but that's quite advanced. But I think that the story is a beautiful illustration of what's possible. Maybe someone hits us in the heart space with an insult or something that wasn't true, or something that is true but spoken in an unkind way at the wrong time, or a variety of different things. Maybe it's from a coworker or a boss or a parent or a professor or a partner. And at all these moments, then we get disturbed by the incoming comments or thoughts or from others, and I take great inspiration from this and everything Swamiji says and discusses, that just to remember, if something does happen, to pause and say, oh God, you are so merciful, you are giving me X person to help me not be attached, to help me see the truth and keep that smile. It's something to aspire to.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful combination of stories that Swamiji told, right? Because the Sant Tukaram story, when we have those things that feel like they're bad events in our life or unfair events occur, we suffer because we want the person to act different.
Yes.
We want the situation to be different. And then we suffer wanting that difference. And he's inviting us to say, no, embrace that. Embrace that the worldly scenario is not going well, because that's God trying to turn you away from contemplating happiness in the worldly scenario and trying to get you to turn towards God. It's the ultimate blessing. And since Swamiji has been regularly kind of telling us this sacred teaching in many different ways, I have seen you do it many times. Mm-hmm. When a very painful life event or challenging life event occurs or someone treats you unfairly, you're very, I think, amazing at saying, you know, this is an opportunity for me to turn towards God. This is God and Guru trying to turn my face away from attachment to having the worldly relationships, the worldly events go to my liking. Because I know that when we have things go to our liking, we're more likely to get attached to them. So I love how he's paired this Sant Tukaram story with the ultimate truth laid out by Maharaji, that true happiness, true delight and fulfillment only comes from connection to God and Guru. Well, what do we need to get there? We usually need some painful human realities and events. Otherwise, even when things are going well for me in the worldly realm, this happened in the last week or so. Business was going really well. Things were, hot. And I actually noticed myself getting more attached and pulling subtly away. My sadhana got a little bit weaker. And I kind of noticed it. And then, thank God, I got smacked in the face by the world. And I had some kind of business rejection, bad development. And then it reminded me that there isn't true peace and true happiness in those things. I can do them with quality, with devotion, with a seva mindset, but that's not where happiness is. And it forced me to turn more deeply towards God and Guru. So, these profound truths that Swamiji just laid out, we hope that they landed with you. Please share in the comments how they landed, any experiences you have or that you can relate to in either of these teachings. Any final words, my beautiful goddess?
Before we wrap up, my beloved, I must share that watching you do the let go and reframe that you did and that you just described has been one of the most profound things I've ever witnessed. And I have the highest respect for you, and thank you for your example. And I want to give a special, deep well of gratitude on behalf of both of us for all of you who are supporting us and subscribing and watching. We are so honored and humbled by your participation, by your belief, and by helping us grow this little channel. Pranam to the lotus feet of our Guru and of our Guru's Guru, Jagadguru Shri KRIPALUJI MAHARAJ.